I want to talk about the Coca Cola Christmas ad 2024. There's just a lot of thought that I have after watching this commercial, and I think commercial really is a fitting word in the sense of relating to commerce and making bank, so to speak. I'm not overly nostalgic for the typical Coca-Cola truck Christmas ad thing. It always felt very foreign, or like a foreign bastardized concept of Christmas. As someone who's grown up with rather European, mid-European centric aesthetics related to those holidays, to specifically the Christian holiday. So it's not that I have a deep emotional tie to Coca-Cola ads or Coca-Cola Christmas ads, but Christmas ads, they always feel, or at least they should feel, like something where companies go all out and all in to present their values, their brand, the idea of whom they want to be consumed by, and things that they care about. Coca-Cola, I think, really once again shown whom they care about by putting out this product, this commercial. It is an AI-centric nightmare. If you have not watched it and you're still already into this video, I would like you to pause what you're doing, click the link in the description of the video, and watch the ad. Come back here after you've watched it with your own thoughts and feelings, because I will not explain or analyze it shot by shot. My immediate impression was slight confusion. I mean, I knew it was using AI. I did not expect this level of AI usage in it. I don't think the creators can convince me that they loved working on this, or that they cared about the final looks, the motion, the things that they display. It is incredible, not just the images themselves, but also the way the shots are chosen, the way that these shots are positioned, and how they are following one after another. I first thought that the polar bear family that is shown watching the TV, that they actually lived inside the satellite that was shown in space, the shot before that. The commercial is a mess in so many ways. I don't know how to feel about this. I don't want to say grief or anger, because I think there was more a certain feeling of apathy at this point. I think it's at most surprise at the blatant obviousness of the AI usage, rather than actual surprise. The Coca-Cola Christmas ad, it represents whom Coca-Cola is creating their product for. And that is for financial and commercial value, nothing else. That is my opinion. Now, back to actual Christmas ads, because I like people talking about advertising, like making advertisement spots and clips. So, and I think it can be a very appealing field to work in, especially when you're artistically inclined in any way. And if I think of a Christmas ad now, I think of Edeka ad, or the M&S Christmas ad with the, I think it was a hare and a bear type of thing. But those were paper cutout character rigs and they were animated frame by frame by an actual animation studio in London. And there's so much love and care being put into something that is only broadcast like once a year, and most times even just in that specific year. It's not being repurposed or reused. And this effort represents value and a kind of appreciation of the customer base. And I think with AI so blatantly being used and thrown into consumers' faces, it really just says we don't care about our customers. We don't care who buys us. We know we already are a monopoly. We don't care. We don't care about humanity. It is kind of sad. It is kind of sad. I mean, yes, everyone should probably know by now the Coca Cola company is kind of evil, but it is still kind of sad because even within big corporations that don't care about the soul of individual employees or customers, there's usually still people in these companies who care. And they are in this bad system, they are working in this bad industry, they have influence or no influence or minuscule influence. But the people who had the last say on what are we doing for Christmas this year? Questionable choice. Questionable choices were made. I think it was in 2017 or 18, I was at MCM London, and I was there with some people from my university, mostly game students. And there was also a lecturer from the games department there. He asked me a very specific question, showing me a game using supposedly AI, generative AI, to create a walk cycle for a 3D character. And he asked me what I think on this. What do I think on AI generated animation? Back then I said that I think, and that is without me knowing how these models are exactly trained or how exactly this works. I was just basically being told, oh, a computer generated this. So my assumption and my reply was, if there is AI that can do the basic task of a walk cycle, then that would mean an animator should have the time to refine it and to bring in flavor and to focus on other animation. That was kind of my thought there. I did not agree with the idea of, because that was essentially what was being proposed by that lecturer, was that animators would be obsolete. Which is great when you're pursuing your bachelor's degree and you're essentially told by a game professor, hey, your job is going to be even more obsolete than it is already being told to you. Yeah, so I kind of just was like, yeah, no, I still think there's a demand for animation and art and artists, even if there's computers around. And now with the developments of the past years, I still think my sentiment holds true, but I do think we have to, I think artists and the way that creatives talk about living off of art, or in fact just being an artist, we need to change the conversation and we need to highlight different ways of being an artist to the public. If we just show the big success stories, the influencers, the content creators, the artists who made it, the small business success stories, if we only talk about commodifying and commercializing and running businesses as artists, which is important conversation to have. Please don't take this as me talking down to people who run their own art business, because that is that requires so much skill, time and effort to run successfully. There's a lot of respect I have for these folks, but as someone who does not do that, and who's sometimes looking into these areas of being an artist, I think it is important that we also talk about being an artist when you don't quote-unquote make it. And what does it mean to be an artist and to have a job on the side? What does it mean to have an office job, a barista job, a job in service, in being security, in a blue-collar job, any other job that is not directly tied or solely tied to what you are creating as an artist, to your passionate creative outlet? And how can we derive value from our art, personal value and value to society from our art that is not displayed in likes, favorites, algorithms and monetary value? And maybe in my own bubble, I may have been in my own bubble too much, but the things I see and the things I read from people who are 10 years younger than me, or even more than 10 years younger than me, and who want to be artists, and these folks, I'm also not pleased with the situation of everything right now, but telling these young artists to just suck it up and deal with it, to roll over in defeat, I don't think that is the spirit we should teach artists, or the spirit we want to teach people who want to make a dent in art and art history, possibly. I agree that there are things we have to accept when it comes to, for example, being a graphic designer and following a professional job line in some way or another. And maybe there's moments where we just have to suck it up and use the devil, so to speak, in order to keep paying rent and survive. But I think to just say, accept that it's here and don't be loud about it, stop complaining, just see how it can benefit you. This compliance and this being a good little artist guy, I think that's not what we should follow. I think we should not embrace complete complicity, complete compliance. We should not embrace rolling over and saying, okay, well, if AI is here to stay, I might as well give up on my dreams and never draw again, or I just give up. No, I think we need to keep talking about how can we push back, how can we foster healthy creative spaces, how can we bring value to the discussion about art theory and art history, how can we avoid people being ratioed for having the wrong art style or having the wrong skill level before posting their art, how can we encourage making art, and how can we encourage and foster spaces that are outside the internet? What can we do in our local spaces to connect to artists and with creative folks? How can we bond in online and real spaces? We need to make these connections again. Art is able, even when not liked by everyone, it is able to start conversations, and it is able to be an opener to start conversations that are uncomfortable or difficult, to express emotions and thoughts that are very, very hard to wrap around in words. And art is something that allows us to connect. And before I keep rambling more and more about all this shit, because you know this, I take you for somebody, if you have kept listening so far, I take you for somebody who's smart enough to know all this. Or somebody who is, at least who's had these thoughts about connection and art and how do we display value. I think with the occasional, I'm gonna call it drama really, but maybe with the occasional backlash towards art mentors, online art mentors, and I'm gonna call them mentors because some of them offer courses, others just have this experienced industry artist vibe that especially aspiring, starting out artists look for. Everyone wants a mentor in their career. And the truth is, sometimes you just won't get one. And you will instead have to make peers and have to see what can your peers teach you about art, rather than some man or woman or person on the internet. And I think with big channels, big art channels, kind of not really grasping what the damage is that they're doing by just supporting or embracing AI. And there's a lot of nuanced talk to be had here, but with doing that, what the audience receives as a message is, I don't really care about you starting out, and I don't really care that you want to be valued and appreciated for your work and art, and you just gotta deal with it. And while sometimes a suck it up and keep going advice can be the right thing to give, I don't think you should give that advice without offering things you can do to strike back. To strike back at the people who are causing you harm. And I don't mean this in like a get physical, violent way. I mean this in a bide your time and work towards an escape, an alternative, or something that truly gives you this feeling of value and appreciation that you require and need. And surround yourselves with people who can give that to you and give it back. This is incredibly rambly. There's a last bullet point that I have here in regards to the Coca Cola ad and the whole AI probably being something that we just will keep seeing it over and over and over again now. In film, in movies, in ads, everywhere. We will keep seeing it for a while, I think. And I don't think it will just disappear from immediately. So I think if we're talking art, and if we're talking digital art or being an artist who wants to send a message and who wants to explore means of not being exploitable, I think we need to grow some thorns, to attach some spikes, and to become undesirable. And by that I mean our art should be undesirable to those who seek to steal it. And while we've got first protection measurements such as guides on how to watermark your art online, or tools who do that for you, such as cloaking mechanisms, such as Webglaze and Nightshade. If you want to learn more, I've put links into the description. We need to think more about this. We can't just say, okay, I'm just gonna apply watermark and that's it. No, I think maybe even if it's not all of our art, but I think there should be value, discussion, and just experimentation in being undesirable to those who want to exploit us, and staying and becoming desirable to those who truly value our work and art. When I say undesirable, for example, I'm thinking of Lolita fashion. By that, I'm not referring to the book Lolita by Nabokov, but to the Japanese fashion style Lolita fashion. In its origins, it is being attributed to being a counter-movement by women to the sexualization, fetishization of women's bodies. So these cutesy, frilly, Victorian, sort of Victorian dress-inspired clothings, in their origins, they are meant to deter men. They're not meant to attract men or fetishization, sexualization, they are for women, for girls, they are meant as a counter movement. They are kind of like a cute punk expression. And if we look into art culture and art history, we can look at what happened with the rise of photography, what subjects were explored, and what things were looked at. And with the rise of fascistic tendencies across the world, we need to ask ourselves, how can we move against that with our art? How can we make our art, how can we make anime girls undesirable to fascism? Okay, this is so silly, but fascism is not allowed to claim anime girls. And before I lose myself completely in this ramble, which I apologize for, but I do not have the patience or energy to write this into a cohesive, coherent script. We need to become undesirable to those who do not deserve us. Thank you for listening to this low-energy ramble about AI-related things. I think at this point, everyone and their mother has kind of chimed in with their opinion. If you've enjoyed the art that I've made in this video, it is available to download on my Ko-Fi.